New Vitamin Water Zero Sugar Pineapple Passion Fruit is packed with vitamins, just like the amount of peas we packed in that sentence. It's packed like your tote bag, the one you stole from your ex, or your overpriced half a studio apartment, or extra rushed rush hour traffic. Packed like your calendar. Triple booked at 5, of course. Grab a vitamin water. Did we mention it's packed with vitamins?
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
speaking into the void?
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
On today's episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, Charlie returns with his daughter Mary to help celebrate the 40th anniversary of the iconic Super Mario Bros. On the Nintendo Famicom. Hello everyone and welcome to the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode 419. We're really old. Anthony here, and joining me on this week's podcast as my co-host. Welcome back, Charlie. How are you?
We may be old, but you're the older one. And maybe we could have saved this for 420 this week. We could do other things while we're talking about the subject today.
Well, very true. 420 could be it would be an interesting is going to be an interesting episode, or I could make it an interesting episode. But I'm actually happy that this is not episode 420 because we have a very, very specific topic today.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, and an incredibly celebratory topic on top of that, because as of September 13th, so just a few days ago, Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo Entertainment System, or originally the Nintendo Famicom, turned 40 years old.
And which I have copies of both. I'll tell you what, playing it on the Famicom is definitely interesting on the big screen. But yes, so happy birthday to Super Mario Brothers. Big difference.
Big difference.
It is definitely the marquee of Nintendo.
Yes. It is definitely it was a franchise builder. Some consider it one of the main reasons why the video game crash actually did not end the video game industry, or the home console market at least. So we can thank Nintendo for that. And Mario is definitely a huge part of that, because it's one of the most iconic video games ever created, and I think will always be considered that.
It broke the ground in a few ways. First off, going back to the video game crash, the biggest issue was all these mediocre games being rushed out. Looking at you, E.T. Nintendo did the right thing. They took their time with this. And with Super Mario Brothers, it's not like Donkey Kong or the other arcade games where it keeps looping over back and forth when you beat the level. In the original Super Mario Bros., you had 32 different individual boards to go through to complete the game, and the game actually had a legit completion. And after the game was complete, you were able to go through a second time, and that maybe that helped a little bit with Zelda. Although we also know they just had more room on the cartridge, so they had to fill it up with something, and that's like how they came up with the second quest.
Yes.
But Super Mario, I think you put it great. The Super Mario franchise saved the video game industry from collapse. Thanks, Atari.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it wasn't just Atari that contributed to the video game crash. It was the fact that there were so many companies trying to get in on the video game craze that they were rushing out just bad games constantly.
And it wasn't just bad games. It was
bad games, bad consoles.
Look at what we talked about with Pac-Man. How many different ways did they package it with different crappy names and crappy gameplay?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Bad ports and bad adjustment. Like, a game becomes successful and we're just going to make a whole bunch of inferior versions of that.
Yeah.
and try and make money off of it. And that was another big part of it too. It was just there's this bum rush of let everybody needs to make money off of this, and it just caused a lot of problems. Whereas, Nintendo, seeing this, said, we're going to come out with a console, but we're going to control everything, and we're going to make quality games, and we're going to limit, how much gets released and who buys it and all of this stuff. Um, and they hedged their bets really well, and it turned out to be a huge success. And Mario is definitely one of the main reasons for that success.
Yes, it definitely is. And look at how the franchise is still relevant,
40
40
years
years in
later.
the future and introducing, more and more generations, including this one.
And this one is, hi,
This would be my
Mary.
daughter Mary, who has beaten the original Super Mario Brothers. Although the first one that she beat was Super Mario Odyssey, and she keeps disappearing because of the camera. So, but
Because of the background.
I assure you, she is actually there. But
She,
say hi to everyone, Mary, while we fix this real quick.
Hello.
hey, Mary, how you doing? Step into frame for a minute.
Yeah, step in.
Come on in.
See yourself.
So, yeah, so your dad's been telling me how much you love playing, some of the old school games, especially Mario. So, while you're here for a moment, what do you think of Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo?
In general, I prefer the more modern and detailed ones due to the pixel count. I feel
Okay,
like it shows more of the world better.
of
Um,
course.
but the older ones were revolutionary in the fact that it was some of the first side scrolling
Hmm.
with multiple frames. Actually took a lot of work for when they first did it. And actually, fun fact, Mario, they didn't use the normal frame thing for him because in the test runs he kept getting stuck between the colliding hitboxes.
Okay, yeah.
So they had to use a circle, but a
Oh,
bigger one,
interesting.
so
Cool.
that he avoided getting stuck between the blocks.
Yeah, and there were a lot of things that happened in those test runs
Yeah.
that they had to fix, and that was one of them. So that's a good little factoid that you know. Um,
Yeah.
but when you played through the game, as a younger person who's used to all of these newer games, like, did you find that it was more difficult than the current games?
I mean, I needed a bit of guidance, but that was what Dad was there for.
Of course,
But it was somewhat harder because I can't just find another way around a level.
right.
Like in Mario Odyssey, you can
Mhm.
beat the thing in so many different ways
True.
because it's a
Yeah.
3D game. It was likely one of the first three. From what in my personal belief, it was one of the first 3D Mario games I played.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, she started. Odyssey was the first game she actually beat, and we kept busting each other's chops about beating Mario things. And I told her, "Well, you have no room to talk until you beat the original." So she finally put up. And I helped her. She didn't go through all 32 levels. Like I showed her how to warp through everything, and
Okay.
she beat it on her own. So, and I think I sent you that video when it happened too.
Yeah, you did, and I was really happy when I saw that, and I was going to ask if you used warps or not, so that answered that question.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah, but
it,
it's
it was
but it's awesome to have that type of background on Mario to see where it started and how it's come so far with Super Mario Odyssey, and now obviously Super Mario Wonder, which was I think the latest release.
Yeah, Wonder, we're still playing through it a little bit. It's a little tough. She isn't always the easiest one to do multiplayer games with.
Yeah.
So, but it's a good way for us. Video games are one way that we do spend a lot of quality time together. And, I've caught her leaving my Game Boy upstairs in her room when she wasn't supposed to, because, she has a habit of not putting things back when she's supposed to. But hey,
Ah,
she's 13, it's expected.
that is
But
what's
Mario,
expected.
these are the things that Super Mario Brothers have done for society. You
Hmm.
know, the younger ones are playing it and enjoying it, and they're seeing what it was like for us old farts growing up. No save points. You die, you start at the beginning, the game is over. You start at the beginning,
Yep.
unless you hit, what was it, A or B, and then start it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you hold
I
the
think
A button down and
yeah,
press
it was the A
start.
button.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So which is awesome. And yeah, and like you said, that type of generational bonding now that people get to do, like parents with their children and things like that, with these video games, is just another testament to how much of an impact they've had in society, family, pop culture, and things like that, which is
Yeah,
really
and speaking
cool.
of pop culture, look at all the stuff behind you, like right over your shoulder. I had a copy of that How to Beat Super Mario Brothers games
Yep.
paperback. It might still be buried somewhere in my parents' house.
Yeah, and I actually found that I actually only found that a couple of months ago. I was in a used bookstore 20 minutes away from me,
Hmm.
and it was just hiding. It was hiding in their case right in the front, and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "How much is that?" And I was like, "It wasn't even that much money," and I was like, "Grab, sold, done."
Nice.
But yes, all of those things about Mario is great. Like I said, with the familial connection stuff like that. But I want to rewind a little bit and I
Okay.
want to go back to where, like, how Super Mario Brothers came to be. And I thought we would do a little bit of what we used to call a retro spotlight, or I'll continue to call a retro spotlight on the show. And Mary, if you stick around, maybe you'll learn a few things that you didn't know about Super Mario Brothers.
Hmm.
And
Uncle
so
Nathan's good at this stuff.
thanks. But so going back, like I said, the original release date for Super Mario Brothers was September 13th, 1985 in Japan on the Nintendo Famicom. It came to America the following month in October. The arcade It was released in the arcade. I don't know if you've ever played the Versus Super Mario Brothers
Yes, and
game.
it's actually on the Switch.
Yes.
It's in the Nintendo store. It's only 7.99. I've played it through, and it's basically a combination between they have some of the boards from the original, and they have some of the boards from Super Mario Bros. 2's Japan.
Yes, they do. Which I also have a copy of sitting right here. I've got my copy of two, and I've got my original Famicom copy of
Hey,
one.
I have those also.
You,
I just don't have the disc system.
right, exactly, which we need to get you.
Yeah,
Um,
and it was a shame. It was a shame that it wasn't available at the expo. But that we talked about that before, so we can
yeah,
get back on track.
we'll get you one. Don't worry. It was released in the arcade January of 1986 in Europe actually first, and then came to North America February of 86. Obviously, Super Mario Brothers was developed and published by Nintendo. The director and producer, the one and only Shigeru Miyamoto. Miyamoto also helped design the game along with Takashi Tezuka. And the composer of the game, the very famous composer on so many different games since this one came out, Koji Kondo.
The
Uh,
John Williams of Nintendo.
yeah, the John Williams of Nintendo. All right. So, in terms of the game's development, what happened was Miyamoto and Tezuka, who were the designers, before they worked on Super Mario Brothers, they worked on a few other games. They worked on a game called Devil World, which I don't think that came out here in the US. I have a Japanese copy of it on the Famicom. But they worked on Devil World, Excite Bike, and Kung Fu, which we
Bye-bye.
all know very well. And Miyamoto wanted to create something more colorful, some type of platformer game, and something in a side-scrolling manner. And what they wound up doing was they used the Excite Bike game engine to start building Super Mario Brothers because Excite Bike had that smooth side-scrolling nature to it. So they took what was already made and they started working on creating Super Mario Brothers off of that. And according to my research, it wasn't actually Miyamoto who had the idea to use Mario in the game. It was Tezuka who suggested using Mario because the Mario Brothers game that came before this was a sales success. So he suggested, why don't we just continue using Mario, which they decided to do.
And it was the original Mario Bros. Was total different story, total different play.
Yep,
Like we were talking about before, how there was really no end game. It was just the board repeating over and over, getting harder and harder.
exactly.
And side fact, Excite Bite is actually one of the first original games that this one played, and she loved it.
Nice. I love Excite Bikes. It's such a fun game. So you got to, yeah, so you played basically the same game engine on Excite Bike that you did on Super Mario Brothers. It's the same game engine. Um, and then one other thing about Mario Brothers was also that was the first time the Mario bro. There were a couple of things out of that. That was the first time we learned that Mario was a plumber now,
Mhm.
because before that he was considered a carpenter.
Hmm.
With
Actually used
game,
to be called Jumpman.
he used to be called Jumpman in Donkey Kong, but then in Wrecking Crew he was a carpenter.
Mhm.
And then in Mario Brothers he became a plumber, and he got a brother. He got his brother Luigi,
Luigi, my
and
favorite.
yep. And Mario Brothers is also where we learned that Mario's last name is Mario. They're called the Mario Brothers because their last name is Mario. So it's Mario and Luigi Mario. Those are their names,
But I do find funny.
which is
Yes.
kind of funny.
Yeah.
So getting back to the Super Mario Brothers game, once they decided to do this, they had a team of 7 programmers and artists start submitting ideas for it. And what you'll notice in the game is they started to pull ideas from previous games they created. So if you look at Super Mario Brothers, you'll see things in there that came from Donkey Kong,
Yep.
like certain lifts and ladders, conveyor belt things. Donkey Kong Jr., if you remember the springs that he jumped
Yeah,
off of.
the this jump platform in the first board,
Yep,
Donkey Kong Jr. And plus that, that's kind of like one of the enemies, resemblance of the enemy from the second board in Donkey
yep.
Kong.
Exactly. And the ropes also, the ropes that he used to climb, you
Mhm.
wound up getting the vines in Super Mario Brothers. So that idea came from Donkey Kong Jr. And then in the Mario Brothers game itself, which we were just talking about, the enemy attacks, the Koopa Troopas,
Yep, the
uh,
Koopas.
the way that they move, the POW block, the POW
Yeah.
block,
Well, the
all came.
POW block really didn't show up until Doki Doki Panic /
Mhm.
Super Mario Brothers to
True,
America.
but all pulled from, these previous games. And then the one thing that Super Mario Brothers introduced was the idea of this power up, right? You got this mushroom power
Yeah.
up that turned a small Mario into a larger Mario. And according to Miyamoto, he took that idea from a bunch of Japanese folk tales where people would wander the forest and eat magical mushrooms, which is why in the instruction booklet they're actually called magic mushrooms.
Which makes
Um,
sense.
Not to be synonymous with other types of magic mushrooms that we have, and they're the Hammer Brothers again.
Yeah, we lost our special guest star.
That's okay. Um, Now, while building the game, there were obvious size limitations, right? Because there was only so much that could be held on a cartridge back then. Um, so they had all of 256 kilobits of program code in the game.
And
So,
that look, and just let's take a minute and think about that.
yeah,
Compared to when we were kids, compared to what it is now.
yep,
You and I are both Commodore 64 aficionados.
yep,
64 kilobytes of
yep.
RAM and whatnot. And actually, I should be getting mine back next week.
Nice.
Look at all the, considering you were talking about 1985 and, this graphic right here,
Yep.
albeit it's close up, 256 kilobytes, 1985, and you were still able to get decent graphics like this.
Kilobits, not kilobytes. So we're talking two and a half.
Tomato, tomato.
No, yeah, less than a kilobyte,
Yeah.
right? Because a kilobyte would be 1,000 kilobits.
Ah,
So we're talking smaller than what it was talking smaller than that, in terms of the program code. And then for the sprite and background graphics, which you're mentioning right there were only 64 kilobits that they could play with. So this was incredibly, incredibly, incredibly small.
and look at how it's evolved since and where the games now are gigabytes worth of stuff.
Gigabytes
And
on top of gigabytes.
well,
It's insane.
it is.
But because of these limitations, they had to take certain shortcuts with the game. So when you look at the game, you'll probably know this. You'll know the clouds and the bushes in the game are the same.
Yeah,
They're
they
just
are.
colored differently.
Different color, different look,
Yep.
different locations.
Yep. Stuff like the sound effects. Like if you've noticed when Mario gets shrunken down, it's the same sound as Mario going down the pipe.
Hmm.
So they reused a lot of elements in order to fit them into that very, very small, uh, the small size limitation they have.
And it was successful, and they used it again in, some of them in, Super Mario Brothers too.
Yep, they reused what worked. And then one last thing I thought, which was really fun, was in once they had gotten done with the game, they had about, or when they were getting close to finishing the game, they had about 20 bytes left of memory to use. And that's when Miyamoto created the crown sprite that
Found it.
goes, there you go. There's your Super Mario Brothers 2. But the final 20 bytes in the game were used for, and there's the original one, just like mine.
I think
The
that one
fi
was three that she
Oh,
grabbed.
was that three she flashed?
Yeah. Yeah,
That,
she's ADHD. Hey, look, I found it. Now we have to show everything, which is
Yes.
okay,
which is
and we might as
fine.
well show. I know we're skipping ahead, but
Oh,
the original
There you
parts.
go. And two in world. But the final 20 bytes in the game were used to create the crown sprite, which indicates when you have more than 10 lives in the game.
Yeah.
So they maxed out what room they had. They used every single byte they had, every single bit. Um, and then one of the most important things that Miyamoto and Tezuka wanted to make sure of with this game, because it was a side-scrolling game, right? So this was something that was not, it wasn't the first side-scrolling game ever made, but this was still fairly a new concept for people.
Yeah.
They wanted to make sure people understood how to play the game. So they designed level 1-1 specifically to teach you how to play the game. So
And
as you,
that's what Nintendo did for a lot of games.
yeah,
I mean, heck, just the title screen also, let it play and you'll see what to do. You jump on the Koopa, you get it's not the Koopa, the Goomba.
the
Please take away
Goomba.
my nerd card for that one.
Yep,
Um, and as you go throughout the introduction screen, if you let it play, he touches the Goomba and dies. So,
yep,
poof, there's the introduction there. But,
yep.
Nintendo has done that with a lot of their games where the first couple levels are introductory levels. Hey, this is how you play the game. And it just kind of builds up from there, along with the levels getting harder, which is
Yep.
natural procession for the
Progression.
video games.
Hmm. Yeah, and
actually,
you were going to say something, Mary?
yeah, that actually translated over to Mario Odyssey, where when you first land, you're in this cap world with top hats and stuff. And
Yep.
that's where you learn how to use Cappy and how to jump and sprint and do all the special movements.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then the
So,
next world, it's where you learn about these different like possession things that you can use
mhm.
Cappy for.
Yeah.
The different things you can use them for, and then about the moons, which are basically their way of like a point system so that you can get everywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, they've done that in every game so that you can learn how to do it. Like every Mario game that followed, you learned what the moves were like, or the new moves, what the new items were, so on and so forth. But it all started back here with World 1-1 in Super Mario Brothers. And then in terms of the in-game music, this was one of the first games to have music in it. But more importantly, one of the first games to ever have a full score. So Koji Kondo
Mhm.
came in, and he wound up creating a score for the game because he wanted to enhance the emotional and physical experience of the game.
And it is an iconic score because 40 years later, you play the first couple of bars. Just about everybody on this planet knows exactly what it is. When I
Exactly.
was when I was at Transit, my work phone when I got promoted, actually the Super Mario Brothers theme was my ringtone. And
Nice.
I'd be at work, you start hearing the theme, and everyone looked at me. Is that what I think it is? Yes, it
Yep.
is.
Oh yeah, no, the Super Mario Brothers theme is synonymous with, you know, it's just synonymous in the music industry. Everybody knows the Super Mario Brothers song.
Yeah, between
And
that and the underground lair, and
mhm,
not so much Bowser's lair also.
yep.
But the
Well, in
overworld,
Yeah, well, in
overworld.
total, Kondo created six tracks for the game. There were six full tracks in the
Mhm.
game. But again, it was the first time you really got to experience a game where music was playing as you went along. And let's face it, music has become a must-have in
Oh,
every video game.
especially for the villain battles.
Yep.
Perfect example, level 9, Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just the epic battle songs you hear now whenever you fight in any game. Like go
Yeah,
to games like today. Like I'll Final Fantasy VII, I remember playing. Like when you went into those battles and that music hits, it's like you knew it was like game on. And so all of that emotion, all of that, like, pulling the emotion out of the player, all started here,
yeah.
which is monumental.
No,
Um,
it is really amazing to see how far, we can say because we both were alive back when that happened, watching things like Mario evolve
mhm.
over time, not just the gameplay, the graphics, everything, and how
Mm-hmm.
much of a pop culture thing it has become, as is demonstrated on the wall behind you.
Yep, you can see all
And
my Mario product.
it'd be nice if they did something for the 40th anniversary. Since on the 35th anniversary they were nice enough to do this for us
Yes, I
with the
do
Game and
remember that.
Watch.
I never opened mine. I never opened my
Well,
Game and Watch.
yeah, I know because you're anti handheld and everything.
Well, you know what? That's becoming less and less true these days because
I've noticed.
my
I'm
little
proud of you.
3D my little 3DS comes with me on travels now. Although I'm playing a Zelda game right now, not a Mario game.
Nah, no,
Um,
but
but
and
like
let's
uh,
get
I was just gonna say, like you said, you had pulled up your Mario Duck Hunt copy, but there
mhm,
is an actual standalone Mario copy as well.
yeah,
And let's not forget
the
the
world-class track meet one.
yep, the Mario Duck Hunt World Class Track Meet one. So
So
there,
that one, when we
yep.
first got our Nintendo, my parents were a little late with it because, no, there were four of us kids at the time.
Thank you.
And but our first Nintendo system came with the power pad and it had world-class track meet on it. So my first experience with Super Mario at home was the three for that you have.
Yes. And I go all the way back, if I remember correctly, I go all the way back to just having, I think this may not be my original, but I remember
Mhm.
having the very, very first one. Um, and and then obviously Duck Hunt came
Yeah, I
along.
still have my Zapper upstairs on the
Mhm.
on the floor model TV, which is actually in her room.
Nice. I still have my Zapper as well, although I still have a CRT TV here that is in repair mode right now,
Uh,
being repaired by my friend Jack. So I haven't been able to play it, but I do have my Zapper for Duck Hunt. But still, getting back to Mario, like I showed you, like this game has come out so many times on almost every single console Nintendo has made.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I
but
can count. I think I have four separate copies of my own because I have the original. Um, it came out again on Game Boy Advance when they released some of the original black box
yes, I
games,
remember that.
that Metroid and Donkey Kong.
Hmm.
When the 3DS came out, you could buy it on the virtual store, so I bought it on there.
Yep.
And now with the Switch, with the online subscription, with the NES Online, it's on there also.
Yep.
And there's also the Game Boy Color version, which had the Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on it.
Yep.
That one I do not have. What else are we missing?
The Super Nintendo one.
Oh, on the Super Mario All-Stars.
Super Mario All-Stars.
There we
Yeah.
go, right here.
And that's
You
where
having them
we
all was a good idea.
yes, it was. And that's where the US got their first chance to play the original Super Mario
Mhm.
Brothers too.
Yes, yes, the Lost Levels. And, when they did the All-Stars, they took advantage of the Super Nintendo's 16-bit graphics and the sound
Mhm.
system, and they tweaked the music a little bit and put the background images in the back for all the levels.
Yes. And then other places, I'm trying to think of where else it may have popped up that I'm not thinking of. I know it's hiding in the game. I forget which game it's hiding in that you can unlock it. I don't know if it was in Sunshine or Galaxy or something. There was a game where you can actually find the original Super Mario Brothers hiding in it, and I can't remember where it was.
And
It
even
might,
in Odyssey, some of the boards, or there are parts of the boards
yes,
where it is 8-bit. And the first time,
you flatten
Mary
against the
played
wall.
Odyssey and found them, she's like, "What is this?" And I'm just
Yep.
standing there beaming like, "Let me teach you, kid."
Yeah, it's like let me
Well, it
teach
wasn't like
you.
what it was very strange because with the Mario Odyssey, to get into the 2D 8-bit ones, you have to go through a pixelated 3D pipe, and
Yes,
then
you
it
do.
shoots you in, and you just
Yeah,
like a load.
yeah, and it's super fun to do that. But that also shows Nintendo's how much Nintendo values their history and how
Yeah.
much they respect it and how they repeat it even in games today so that Mary, like people your age, kids your age who are now just picking up gaming with Nintendo, get to learn where all of it started. And it's just a cool way to connect all of these games from yesterday to people to kids
And like
today
and
that are
like I
just starting it
mentioned
up.
before, it's great bonding for
And,
for
and
for us father child.
Mhm.
exactly. So and Nintendo, they are the kings of that. They know
Yes,
how
they are.
they have perfected a way to do that.
Now trying to play a game with her at the same time is a different story because you got two
Yes.
type A people here who are bossy, and it ends up in frustration and some cursing and lots of death, but no controllers being thrown, which is the important thing.
No, you have to preserve the controllers. They are very,
Yes.
very important. All right.
It's the Smucker's Uncrustables podcast with your host, Uncrustables. Okay, today's guest is rough around the edges. Please welcome Crust.
Thanks for having me.
Today's topic, he's round with soft, pillowy bread.
Hey.
Filled with delicious PB&J.
Are you talking about yourself?
And you can take him anywhere.
Why'd you invite?
And we are out of time.
Are you really cutting me off?
Uncrustables are the best part of the sandwich. Sorry, Crust.
As a sports fan, I have to confess. Sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
So jumping into the game itself, I wanted to actually jump into the instruction booklet because I downloaded the instruction booklet, and as we know, as kids, our natural tendency was to take the instruction booklet, throw it aside, pop in the game, and just go.
Actually, well, that may be you, but like I'm the person with the board game. I'm the one sitting there with the rules. I was the same way with the games, and I would actually read the instruction booklets while I was sitting down eating my meals.
Yeah. I think the most use I got out of my instruction booklets were on the car ride home when I would purchase a game. It was like I had something to read in the car, so when I got home, I can just jump in and play. Right? I would only go to the instruction booklets later if I couldn't figure something out. But I love going back and reading, the synopsis of the game or the object of the game. Because they're you're gonna hear them and you're gonna be like, wait, that may not be Mario that I know today. But back then they were just creating the lore.
And there's one thing I remember from the instruction booklet all this time. Goomba, a mushroom who betrayed the Mushroom Kingdom.
That is correct.
100 points.
Yes, and that is actually a fun fact I have in my list here, but we'll get to those.
Beat you to it, sorry.
You did. You did.
Reminds me of the Pokemon Dex entries.
But the game description for Super Mario Brothers is: one day the kingdom of the peaceful mushroom people was invaded by the Koopa, a tribe of turtles famous for their black magic. The quiet, peace-loving mushroom people were turned into mere stones, bricks, and even field horsehair plants, and the mushroom kingdom fell into ruin. The only one who can undo the magic spell on the mushroom people and return them to their normal selves is the Princess Toadstool, the daughter of the Mushroom King. Unfortunately, she is presently in the hands of the great Koopa Turtle King. Mario, the hero of the story, maybe, in parentheses, hears about the Mushroom People's plight and sets out on a quest to free the Mushroom Princess from the evil Koopa and restore the fallen kingdom of the Mushroom People. You are Mario. It's up to you to save the Mushroom People from the black magic of the Koopa.
Now hold that thought for a second, because I pulled up the instruction booklet while you were reading it. Yep. This is proof that yes, she was Princess Toadstool first before it got changed to Peach. We grew up on Toadstool.
We grew up on Toadstool, but in Japan, she was always Princess Peach.
So that explains it.
Yeah, that's the reason why we had a change, but Toadstool was originally created just for North American audiences. Again, don't know why, but that's what they did.
Probably something lost in translation.
Some type of translation thing, or one reason or another, they just didn't want to use Peach because they wanted to stick everything in the Mushroom Kingdom. So Toadstool works in the Mushroom Kingdom.
I pulled up to page 2. I don't know if you pulled up to it also, but I'm kind of laughing at the precautions. Avoid touching the connectors. Do not get them wet or dirty. Doing so may damage the game. And what did we all do when the game wasn't working?
Yep, do it. That is what you do. Or the one right underneath it, which do not clean with benzene, paint thinner, alcohol, or other such elements.
And what's the first thing we used?
You used alcohol. You used rubbing alcohol to clean those things. So literally right in the booklet, it tells you do not do these things. Us naturally never paid attention to that.
Yep.
Actually, funny
Yes.
fact. For the 3DS and the Wii U, they had to put in things that say do not use Wii U / 3DS as coaster, do not eat Wii
Yep.
U or 3DS.
Yeah,
Apparently people had done that.
Nintendo is notorious for pointing those things out.
Yes.
Because you know what? People do that. People
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that. So yeah, so
So,
that is the scene that Nintendo
Mhm.
painted in the instruction booklet of the game and the Mushroom Kingdom, and again, the whole lore of Mario built really from here. Once the Mushroom Kingdom was established. Now going back to the game itself, I have a whole list of stats and facts that I want to throw out there. And you may know some of these, or you may not. So the first thing was Mario's actual pixel size. He is 12 pixels wide by 16 pixels high. So
that would also explain why it's actually harder to play those kind of games, including Super Mario Brothers, on the big flat screens.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know if you have this problem, but I do, where sometimes where I'm playing the games,
Very tiny.
like, where the hell is he on the
Mm-hmm.
screen? And
Yeah,
dead.
that's exactly a big part of the problem. One of the interesting things about Mario in this game too is we all know Mario as synonymous with the color red, but in Super Mario Brothers, he wears a brown shirt under his overalls, and this was the only time that he does that. They changed it after that.
Yeah.
And then we got the iconic red, and we got the Luigi green.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Luigi was green in here too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Luigi was green when before he powered up to the fireball, and then they both looked the same. Sorry if I stole that one from you too.
You did not.
Oh, good. Okay. Yes.
But yes, Luigi. But to your point, Luigi was just Mario as a different color.
Yeah.
And the reason why Mario looked the way that he did was obviously the graphical limitations. They gave Mario a hat because it was hard to design hair. He was given a mustache so they could accentuate the nose, so you can actually see the nose on his face. And they gave him overalls so that you can see his arm movements when he's moving. Because if it was all one color, you wouldn't really be able to notice.
Yeah, and when he's standing still, he's basically facing the quote unquote camera. But when he's moving, it moves to the side profile, and you actually see him running and jumping and everything.
Yes, but his head is always side profile, even when his body is forward, his head is side profile.
That's got to hurt his neck after a while.
Yeah, I mean he's always looking to his left. He's always looking to his left. While we're watching him run to the right on the screen.
Yes.
And then when it comes to Bowser, this was the first game to introduce Bowser. But when Miyamoto first designed him, he actually imagined Bowser as an ox, not as a turtle. And then there were two stories to come out of this. One was that an animator saw his sketch of Bowser and misinterpreted it and wound up starting to draw a turtle, and then they worked their way to the Koopa that we know. The other story is that Tezuka wanted to do a turtle, and they just went in that direction. So
which kind of makes sense because the Koopas were turtles. So if Bowser's going to be their king, they might as well be the turtle. But that would also explain the quote unquote nose ring that he has if he was originally supposed to be a bull or an ox.
Yeah, actually, very true. So that was probably part of the cooperation between them. So they built out a turtle, but he had, to your point, he had like the little ox ring. Bowser's name, Koopa, actually came from the Japanese name for a Korean dish. I don't know if you knew that. It was called Gukbap, Gukbap, which is a soupy stew with rice. So the name Koopa kind of built off of that.
What if it's turtle stew?
Maybe it is turtle stew. Do not know. And then a couple other Koopa things to know is the Bowser. I don't know if you know this, but if you play through the game all the way through, the fourth level in every world, you go up against Bowser, right? And you beat him and you go off. Now, if you beat him with the axe, if you jump over him or under him and do the axe, he falls into the fire pit, and you move on. But if you beat him with if you're Fire Mario,
5.
which I'll show right here. Here's my Fire
Yeah.
Mario.
Nice. Yep, 5 fireballs.
Yeah, so if you shoot Koopa with the fireballs and beat him that way in Worlds 1 through 7, it actually gets revealed that the Bowser is fake. It's actually a common enemy disguised as Bowser. Yep. The real Bowser you only face at the end of World 8.
Yep, and level 6, 7, 6, 4, 7, 4, and 8, 4, that's when he starts throwing the hammers.
That's who starts throwing the hammers. But again, only 8-4 has the real Bowser.
Yep.
You talked earlier about the Goomba being the first enemy, right? In level 1-1. One thing that you read online is that the Goomba may be, because it's impossible to figure out, but he may be responsible for the most main protagonist deaths in all of video game history. More people have died facing the Goomba than anything else in any other game, which makes total sense because when you're learning the game, people naturally just walk straight forward and the Goomba kills them. And that's how they learn, oh, the Goomba can kill you.
The troll.
Hey, don't laugh, because how many times have you done that?
Yeah, so the Goomba may be responsible for the most deaths in video game history. But originally, the first opponent you were going to face was a Koopa Trooper.
Oh.
So they originally had put a Koopa Trooper there, but then it was decided that it might be a little too complicated to learn that you have to jump on the shell and you can kick it and then it would kick and come back and kill. So they created the Goomba as an easier enemy for you to beat in the beginning as part of the learning curve. And that's how we got the Goomba.
Yeah, and then you get the Koopa Trooper, your first Koopa Trooper in the last third of 1-1.
Exactly. So like you got used to killing the Goomba and then it moved on to the Koopa Trooper. So again, it was just a sliding scale of difficulty so that you were learning along the way.
Speaking of the sliding scale, in 1-1, the power-ups are a sliding scale also because you get all of them. You get the mushroom in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You have two opportunities to get the fire flower.
Yep.
And plus there's a Starman.
And there's correct.
Starman. That's there.
There is a secret Starman in there as well. You already told everybody the Goombas are the evil mushrooms, according to the manual. And I love reading some of the manual stuff, and they do tell you that you know how many points each enemy is worth, which is interesting. What I love too is that when it gets to Bowser, King of the Koopa, it will tell you specifically there are several ways to kill him, but you only get points if you use fireballs. So when you use the axe to beat Bowser, you don't get any points for that. But if you shoot him with fireballs, you actually will get points.
No, I don't know. I actually never noticed if there were actually how many points you got from doing it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, looking at that same page,
yep,
Toad doesn't have a name. He is a mushroom retainer who looks like he's flipping you off.
Yes, the mushroom retainer who's flipping you off. And the reason why is because there are different toads in every castle. It's not just one toad that keeps repeating. So here they call them 7 mushrooms who originally served in the court of Princess Toadstool, but are now under the spell of the evil Koopa King. So there were 7 different toads.
And the Hammer Brothers, besides Bowser, being the one that gives you the most points, stepping on top of them, 1,000 points and trying to time it. And so, funny story about the Hammer Brothers. You might have to get the bleep button ready for this one.
No bleeping. Nope.
Okay. So
be good.
Someone was playing one of the iterations, and she screams out. She dies because of the Hammer Brothers, and she screams out, "The Hammer Brothers are holes." Mm-hmm. So her mom and I took a look. What did you just say? She repeated it, and it's like, Mary, you cannot say that. But it's true. And she was like 6 or 7 years old. So
let's just say it that way.
They are.
But hey, you know what? At least Mary was honest and repeated what she said. She wasn't hiding behind it. She was like, yeah. No. She was like, yes, I said it. I own it. What of it?
Pretty much.
A few other fun facts about this, about Super Mario Brothers. There was an initial concept in the game that Mario and Luigi would fly a rocket ship firing bullets at enemies.
That would be cool.
And that was actually used for Super Mario Land.
It was used for Super
Yeah.
Mario Land, but
For
it originated here. In fact, fireballs in the game were originally bullets, and Mario was going to be able to shoot enemies with the A button, even when he was running
Oh,
across board,
that
which would
really
have
wouldn't
been
have that
would have
would
been
really would
they
weird.
have
censored it.
yeah, because that really the game wouldn't have worked that way. But
Yeah.
going back to the rocket ship, Super Mario Land, he's flying the plane,
Yes.
not quite a rocket ship, but close enough.
Similar, but now even though they didn't move forward with that element in Super Mario Brothers, the bonus levels where you climb into the sky and do it,
Yes.
that's a remnant from the flying levels that they were planning.
Yes.
And in fact, the final boss, it was going to be like a flying level boss where you're
Yeah.
shooting him. So that I thought that was a really cool thing. Um, the other thing is that Super Mario Brothers is the only licensed computer game from Nintendo. The Super Mario Brothers game was actually licensed as a computer game. It was called Super Mario Brothers Special, released only in Japan on PC 8800 and Sharp X1 series.
Oh, I did not know that. I mean,
Yep.
there were plenty of hacks for it on the Commodore 64.
All hacks, though.
I had one of them, and it was just, it was off. And one of them that's called Super Something Sisters is one of the hacks they have on the Commodore
Oh, I know that one.
64 for it.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't remember what
I forgot the name of it
actually is.
too.
What sisters?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
something
mean,
sisters. See if you can find it while I point this out.
yeah.
A lot of people credit Super Mario Brothers with being the first side-scrolling platformer, but that is actually not true. There were several other games before this that were side-scrolling platformers, going all the way back to 1981's Jump Bug. Other games that predated it as a side-scrolling platformer were Flicky on Sega, that came out first.
Oh, lucky.
Yep, and Pac-Land. Pac-Land was in 1984, so it was a year before Super Mario Brothers came out.
Was
And that is
Pac-Man one of the Pac-Man ones? Because I don't remember that one.
Pac-Land was the one where you were Pac-Man wearing with legs and boots and you walked across the board. And
Oh.
the ghosts would be in different things. Like the ghosts on the first level were driving cars. And it was a full side-scrolling platform. You were going through a town.
And the Commodore 64 hack was the Great Gianna Sisters.
The Great Gianna Sisters.
It came out in 1987.
Now that you say it, I remember it. Great Gianna
Yeah.
Sisters. Couple of other things to point out with Super Mario Brothers. First off, the game itself sold 58 million units, which is the 10th best-selling game of all time.
And it was the game that came with the Nintendo.
And it was a game that came with the Nintendo, so I'm sure they count that in it, but still, 58 million units is a lot of units. It was also originally planned to be the last game on the Famicom system. According to Shigeru Miyamoto, this was supposed to be a showcase of the epitome for what they can do on the Famicom before they moved forward with the Famicom disk system. So it was originally supposed to be the end of the Famicom, but it was so wildly successful. Cartridge games just kept coming out after that.
Yeah.
And then the last little bit of little fun fact I have is thanks to Super Mario Brothers and its wild success, there have been at least 18 different Mario spin-offs since Super Mario Brothers has been released. I'm going to run through them really quickly. And you'll notice some of these because they're so iconic.
Yeah.
Mario Kart, Paper Mario, Mario and Luigi, Mario versus Donkey Kong, Mario Party, Mario Strikers, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Super Mario Stadium, Mario versus Sonic at the Olympics, Dr. Mario, Mario Picross, Luigi's Mansion, Donkey Kong Country, which is a Mario spinoff, Yoshi Games, Wario Land, WarioWare, Mario Maker, and then solo titles that were also spinoffs like Super Mario RPG, Princess Peach Showtime, which just came out on the Switch, all come from the Super Mario Brothers world.
And then let's just talk about, and we don't even need to get started with all the sequels.
Yeah, right. And that doesn't even include the Super Mario Brothers titles, right?
Because up to what, like 30 of them? I don't know how many.
There's so many. I mean, but Super Mario World, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy,
Yeah, Super Mario Land,
Super Mario
Wii
Odyssey, Of course.
New Super Mario Brothers,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
Mario Wonder.
Mario himself has appeared in
I've
over
seen
200, like Mario's appeared in over 200 games, well over 200 games.
Mhm.
I don't even know where the count is at now, but it's
Yeah.
just absolutely huge.
You
Um,
know, and it's been amazing, you know, watching us being the old people we are, watching it evolve since we sat in front of our TVs on the floor playing it back in the early 80s.
This episode is brought to you by FXX and Hulu. Futurama returns on September 15th, blending heartfelt moments with razor-sharp humor while accidentally saving the day. The Planet Express crew is back, defying gravity and common sense. From the creator of The Simpsons comes 10 new episodes where the romance is hotter, the threats are bigger, and the action hits harder. Don't miss the all-new season of Futurama returning September 15th at 8 p.m. Watch it on FXX or stream it on Hulu.
Tonight, turn down the noise of the day and focus on the rest with AGZ, the nightly drink for winding down and resting up. New from AG1. AGZ supports your body's natural sleep cycle with clinically studied key herbs, adaptogens, and minerals in amounts supported by research. And no melatonin, helping you wake feeling rested. Wind down, rest up with AGZ. Learn more at drinkagz.com.
yeah. Now, do you remember? I don't know if you I don't remember this, but I remember doing it. I don't remember when. Do you remember when you first beat Super Mario Brothers for the first time?
Yes. I'm trying to now I forget because
Yeah,
I
of course.
remember, you know, the more important one was the first time she beat it for
Of
me. But
course.
you know, I've beaten them all, you know, it's just one of those games where we're in the mood to just like you need to shut your brain off or whatnot.
Of
You can get
course.
through it in 10 or 15 minutes if you're warping. I think I was about 8 or 9 years old.
You're about 8 or 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you beat it, did you play through all 32 levels or did you already know about the shortcuts?
I think I warped. I probably warped, but now when I sit down and play it, what I do is I go through my challenges to beat both rounds in one life. And I've
Okay.
done that a couple of times, you know, go through it without dying.
Okay. Now, when you,
And that's not warping.
that's
So, you
not
know,
warping.
all
Okay.
64 boards straight through.
Wow. Okay. See, now I've never played through all 64. I've played through the original 32, but I've
Hmm.
never played through all 64. I remember my memory of it. Also, I already knew about the warps.
Hmm.
I did not know about the A start button. That I found that as an adult, and I was
Yeah.
like, ugh.
You didn't know that when you were a kid?
No, I did not know that as a
Wow.
kid.
That
No.
was one of those word of mouth things. Now you
Nope.
see before the internet was, you know, mainstreamed, you know, we all learned
Yep.
about these things word of mouth, kids. And it was just, you know, us talking at school and we figured this out on our own.
Yep. Yes, we did. But I did not know that. And I found out about it. I don't remember when I found out about it as an
Wow.
adult, but I just remember shaking my head and I'm like, how did I not know this piece of information?
Wow. When did you find out about the duck hunt, the second controller being able to control the ducks?
Also an adult. These
Wow.
are these are things.
Okay,
Yeah, and you know
so
what's funny? I used to read Nintendo Power.
yeah.
I had a Nintendo Power membership at the time. And
And I had one of the original. You remember the black cover Nintendo game guide?
Yes,
I had one of
have
those, and you know
I
there was
still
a
have one or two of those.
yeah, Super Mario Brothers was in there, and I
Yeah.
don't remember if it was in there.
But that's where it came down to. Like back then, it was you either got it from a guide,
Yeah,
or a magazine, or you got it from the Nintendo hotline, which they had,
or word of mouth.
or yeah, or one of your friends told you about it. But but a
Oh.
lot of what I did was in Nintendo Power magazine. And
Mhm.
since we're talking about magazines right now, I was going to bring this up earlier, but I'll bring it up now because one of the things that I've been doing lately is not only reading Old School Gamer magazine,
Mhm.
but I've also been writing for Old School Gamer magazine. So, and they're a really, really cool site. You can join on their website. You can get the magazine digitally, or you can get a physical copies. Obviously, I love getting the physical copies,
Oh yeah,
which I love.
that's a good one too on the Metroid.
Yeah, and I love whoever the artist is that does their covers. Absolutely amazing. I'm sure his name is in here somewhere. But what I love about the magazines is that it's a great nostalgia throwback. And again, you can go hit it up at oldschoolgamer.com. You can do oldschoolgamer.com/retro gamers podcast as well, so they know where you heard about it. And if you look into it, they cover everything going all the way back to the Odyssey, go back to the beginning. Somewhere in here, I know I didn't, this one particularly, I believe I did an article about The Sims. Because The Sims also turned 25 this year, I believe. So, there's my article in here about The Sims. So, on top of doing this podcast, I'm now writing articles, which was great. So, check out Old School Gamer magazine when you get a chance. But again, the original magazine to me is always going to be Nintendo Power, and Super Mario was one of those premier titles that would always show up in Super Mario. It always had it always had the cover. In fact, Luigi is on the cover of the very first Nintendo Power.
Yep, from Super Mario 2. And if you go in the back with the power rankings for the games, Super Mario Brothers was always ranked up there.
Always ranked up there. God,
along with Legend of Zelda.
I had completely forgotten about the top 30 that they put in the Nintendo Power magazine, which has now prompted me to go pull the one magazine I have. But
yes, and I sent my assistant to get a couple of mine also.
I see that.
I start with Volume 29 with Star Trek, which also has a Metroid run through it.
Very cool.
And if you go to the back, the top 30.
There you go.
Right here. However, the original Super Mario Brothers is not on there. Mario 3 is number 1. Mario 2 is number 13.
Nice.
And for number, I also have number 60, which was lost the cover of, which had that was the Super Metroid issue.
Okay.
And let's see the top 30 on this one.
Oh, and there's the Super Metroid Player's Guide she's got behind you.
Yep. This one was only top 20.
Oh, they dropped it to 20?
Yeah, because by that time they had all the different systems.
Yep.
But if you look at the Game Boy one,
nice.
Super Mario Land is on there.
Well, I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna do you one better, and I will show you issue number 2, which has
that looks mint.
Which is it's in really good shape. And I'll go to the top 30 in here, where number 1 is actually Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link.
Wow, they were definitely misguided.
Well, but Super Mario Brothers 2 is right there, number 2.
Number 2.
But if we move over to the side here, you'll see number 27.
Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers is still sitting there. Now remember,
Mario 3 for 20.
Yeah.
Yep, and Super Mario Brothers 3, which just came out, is at number 20. Now
you got Steel's on there.
And Man.
Well, and you have to remember, this magazine was October, November 1989. So this was already 3 years after Super Mario Brothers came out, and it was still considered one of the top 30 games. Now, I'll do you one better than number 2.
Oh,
and there's only one more one better. But I have it's not a great copy because it's a 4.0, but my friend Rich got this and I bought it from him because I needed to have it in my collection. But
I remember getting that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I do not know why it's a 4.0 because the cover looks amazing.
Oh, it's immaculate.
Yeah, it looks great. So I don't know why.
And the fact that it was all clay creatures.
Yes.
For the cover.
Yeah. Just absolutely amazing.
Maybe it's missing the poster. Maybe that's why it's 4.0.
It could be that it's missing the poster. No. Baseball Roundup poster, players poll, and subscription inserts. It's all complete.
Yeah. And Second Quest of Zelda.
Yeah, and actually an in-depth review of Zelda: The Second Quest.
That's when I found out about the Second Quest of Zelda.
There was actually a store I went to recently called Vortex Video Games. It's nearby. They had a box full of Nintendo Powers, and I did everything in my power not to buy them all. I really wanted all of them.
Well, how much did they want for? For it?
He didn't have prices on them, so I kind of want to go back and ask. Because if he's if they're only a couple bucks each, I'll just take them all.
Yeah, you might as well.
But I got to go back and check it out. But yeah, so Nintendo Power was definitely the way to go when you were trying to get hints. But again, going back to what we were saying, I never knew about the A and start thing.
Wow.
I remember finding the warp zone by accident on level 1-2. And once I knew that existed, every single level after that, like the second level, I tried to find it every single time. You just had to look for it. So
how many times did it take you to find the 1 in 4-2 where you go up the vine?
It took me a very long time
It's
because
4-2. 4-2 is considered one of those legendary boards slash levels in all the video game history
yep.
because of the two. It's like the midpoint of the game, basically.
Hmm.
And well, a little after the midpoint, but no, a little before the midpoint. Yeah. But the options of that level, and plus, because you can go up to either the 3-1 or the standard one at the end, which only brings you to level 5. And plus, that level 5-2 is the introduction of Buzzy Beetle.
Oh yes, Buzzy Beetle.
I'm sorry, level 4-2
Four
was the
two.
introduction of Buzzy
4-2
Beetle.
was Buzzy Beetle. Well, that's not the most memorable thing for me. The most memorable thing that I have um were I forget which ones they were. It was 7-4 and another 4, where the level kept repeating until you
4-4.
figured 4-4 and 7-4, where you had to remember the sequence
Hmm.
of where you ran, like top, middle, bottom, in order to overcome it. To
Yeah.
this day, I think I only ever got it randomly. I think I just always would randomly figure it out, but I just remember running through that like, on an infinite loop. And I just thought, like, thinking back to that, I'm like, what a clever idea to put in a game to, again, to up the difficulty level and keep you playing it over and over again, trying to
And
figure that out.
neither one of those boards have power-ups in them either.
No, they don't. So you just have to work your way through them. And if you lose your power, you lose your power.
Yeah.
Um,
And if
one
you
of
get
the,
stuck in one of the dead ends, you're done because the original
oh,
Super Mario Brothers, you were not allowed to backtrack.
that's right. You just kept going. One of the other fun things I always love about this game is that when you look at it, and they pointed this out too, because this is the actual cover of the game, right? The
Yeah.
box. Mario is dying on the
Yes,
cover of
he
the
is.
box because you can see he's about to fall in lava, which is going to kill him.
The floor is
Um,
lava.
What?
yeah, Mary, you didn't know that about if you look at the cover of
If
the
you look at the cover,
cartridge,
he's falling
Mar
into lava. Yep.
Mario's falling into lava.
Yep.
And we talked about like all the product that has come out of Mario. Like you can see some of the stuff behind me. Obviously, a
Mhm.
lot of the stuff I have behind me is newer stuff. But above my right shoulder, you'll see the card packs or the
Mhm.
sticker packs that used to come out. You pointed out the book behind me. There's been, I just showed you the figure. To right over
It-
here, over my shoulder, which I don't have very visible, the Lego set, which included Mario on his own
I
little
know that's
TV.
on. Yeah,
Yep.
that's on my wish list.
And it
And there's a
moves.
Game Boy. There's a Game Boy one coming out. I never.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I need that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
So
heard about the Game Boy one.
Yeah,
so if you
there's a
move
Game
it,
Boy
Fully
one.
functional and
Yeah, there's a
everything.
Game Boy one coming out for this Christmas also.
it is.
But
Yeah,
no, I didn't
there's
know that turning the dial gets it to move like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
turning the dial gets him to move up and that might something's a little messy with mine. I gotta open it up and fix it. But
Blame the cats.
I'll blame the cat. Well, I can blame like maybe all the moving I've done. But yeah, if you keep moving it forward, like it just goes in a
Wow.
loop.
And
And
there was
he
also this. Let's
and there's a
also not
weight that
forget
makes
the
him go from
cereal.
the cereal, of course. I remember eating the cereal as a kid. They had the
Yeah.
combo cereal, Super Mario and Legend of Zelda.
Yeah. Well, they
Behind me,
released the. You remember, they re-released the cereal a couple of years ago,
they did.
and you were supposed to eat it on the air as an episode.
Oh
And
yes,
I actually had the coupon for it for use to get it, and
and we
that
never did.
never occurred.
There are a lot of things we were going to do on episodes that never happened. That was
Oh
definitely one of
well.
them. But yeah, I mean, Lego sets. I mean, you name it, Mario has been in it or on it in terms of
Yeah.
product, which again just shows you how much he's permeated pop culture. And honestly, Super Mario Brothers is, I think, I can say with a lot of confidence, is the real reason why he
Yeah.
is on everything. Like he had his moment in Donkey Kong. Mario Brothers was okay, but it was Super Mario Brothers that really put him on the map
Yeah.
and
And
made him
it's like you
a
said,
franchise icon.
it saved the video game. It saved the video game industry from the crash.
It turned the video game industry into a straight up powerhouse, is what it
Yeah.
did. Yeah, that is really what it did. I mean, it's one thing about saving it and making it like, all right, well, it's come from the brink and now it's kind of like moderately doing okay, but this thing created a boom.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was revolutionary for its time, like we discussed, with all the technological limitations that there were back then, and they were able to stuff all of this into 256K.
yeah. So I think that covers about everything we can say about our friend Mario on the
I think it
NES, Super
does.
Mario Bros. On the NES.
And here's to another 40 years where our ancestors will be playing it after we're all worm food.
Wait, in 40 years, I'm going to be playing this in the nursing home. And I'm going to
That might be also
yeah,
awesome.
I'll be teaching all the nurses while they're trying to take away my controller and stick me with
Yeah.
who knows what kind of medication. And I'll be like, no,
Mhm.
you got to watch me play this. I got to show you all the secrets. But I'm taking A and Start to the grave with me. I didn't
What's
know
that?
it is. I'm taking
I
A and
can't believe
Start
you
to the
didn't know
grave
that
with
as a
me.
kid.
I didn't know it as a kid, and you know what? They're never going to learn it from me. Um, so happy 40th anniversary, Super Mario Brothers. The video game industry would not be what it was without you. Charlie, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode.
Yeah.
And like you forced me to put you on this show because you said I could not do Super Mario's 40th without you.
Okay, so I know we've asked it before on the show. What's your favorite iteration? What's your favorite Mario game?
Oh no, that's too hard. That is, I mean, I always seem to
Mhm.
default to 64 because of
Okay.
how amazing a change it was. But it's hard to judge because Super Mario Brothers 3
Yeah.
also had that kind of leap on the NES on its own.
Oh yeah. Mary, what's your favorite iteration of Super Mario? What's your favorite Super Mario game?
Either Wonder or Odyssey. But
Ah,
I'd also go for number 3, the third one. So
the third
Mario
one.
3.
I'm raising her right.
You are raising her
Mario
right.
3.
Is
And
Mario
for
3?
me, it's the original Super Mario 2 out of Japan. That's always going to be my favorite.
All right. Yes, I know you've said that before on the show,
Yeah.
and that's
But
perfectly fine.
but we had to ask it because
Yeah.
it's the Mario episode. But yes, thank you for having us and for Mary's premiere on. Oh, actually,
Yes,
not
I was
her.
going to say, Mary,
She's been
thank
on
you.
it before and
Yeah,
as cameo.
but she spent a little more time with us this time. So, Mary, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been an absolute pleasure.
And she got to see her
Charlie,
Uncle Anthony.
yeah, and I'm happy that I got a
Thank you for
chance to see you.
to know.
Maybe one of these days we'll see each other in person. That would be great.
Oh yeah.
And for everybody else out there, you guys can check out the Retro Gamers Podcast everywhere at Retro Gamers Podcast. You can also find us on Twitch again because our Twitch is back up and running at the Retro Gamers Podcast. You can watch us on YouTube and Spotify. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. And until the next time, we will see you on the Retro Gamers Podcast.